There are 6 or so main techniques used for weeding after fire. But it's not just about the techniques, it's how you use them. Choosing the best technique for the situation and ensuring consistent follow-up weeding till natives replace the weeds. The best technique might vary depending on the locality, the climate and the season. So check with local experts whenever you can. And while you're taking care of the bush, you need to look after yourself and your co-workers too. That means assessing and managing risks and understanding and following safe work methods. Appropriate protective clothing for working in bushland generally includes closed footwear, long trousers and long-sleeved shirt, gloves, and eye protection. There's bending and lifting involved, and your future self, your back in particular, will thank you for taking care to maintain good posture and avoid injury. If it's not your land, check with the land manager first if it's okay to enter and work. Ensure you're aware of any legislation or guidelines that apply, particularly for using herbicides, where you will need appropriate qualifications or supervision. The first of our 6 techniques is hand pulling. If plants are small enough, you can pluck them out.
Just making sure you get all the roots out.
Or heave them out, as long as it doesn't create too much soil disturbance.
And there it is, roots and all.
A knife or trowel helps you minimise disturbance by separating the plant or the rooted part cleanly from the soil. Bush regenerators tend to use the knife a lot for this type of work. Plants like yellow cat's ear have a taproot, and you have to remove enough of it so the remainder can't regrow. Unless the soil is really loose and soft, you'll need a knife or trowel. Loosen the soil around the taproot without slicing through the taproot too high up. Technique 2 is crowning. With some plants, like asparagus fern or some clumping grasses, you can leave the roots in the ground as long as you remove the central growing point or crown. Various tools let you slice it out or chop it out.
Start to give way. We chip away any excess dirt, and as we pull it out you can see the shallow root system of the paspalum.
In practice, good knife technique will involve both crowning and knife-assisted pulling. The key is to extract the weed with maximum efficiency and minimal disturbance. Other methods involve herbicide. Remember that every step of the process, such as mixing, transport, application, clean-up, as well as the dosage, should be guided by the product label. Technique 3, cutting and painting with herbicide, is used frequently in bush regen, particularly after fire because of the need to minimise soil disturbance.
Take off a few of these leaves.
If the weed is too large to hand pull cleanly, cut it off close to the ground and paint immediately. To get this right, you need to know a bit about the circulatory pathways within a plant. Most trees and shrubs, and many herbs, take the herbicide down into the roots through cells in the outermost ring inside the bark called the phloem. The upward flow to the leaves is via the sapwood, technically the xylem, located further towards the centre. But when the plant is cut down, this upward flow is no longer available, and we're relying on the downward flow through this thin band of phloem. So make sure you paint the outermost ring quickly. Older plants may also have a core of non-circulatory heartwood in the centre. With small stems, such as young plants or annuals, just paint the whole stem. In grasses and such like, these translocating tissues are scattered throughout the stem, so again, paint the whole stem. In all cases, translocation shuts off soon after cutting. A variation is cut, scrape and paint. Adding scrapes to the cut helps expose more phloem, increasing the amount of herbicide that can be applied. Technique 4, scrape and paint, exposes more of the phloem and some sapwood, allowing more herbicide to be applied. And the plant remains intact, so the herbicide can be circulated throughout it over time. It's often the best approach for vines, particularly those with underground tubers such as cat's claw creeper, or Madeira vine that has aerial tubers as well. And it can be effective for difficult to kill woody plants.
We have an off now. Camphor has been scraped and painted and will die.
Some nice little grevilleas. And an ochna. Oh, and it's re-sprouted since the fire.
As a general rule, start from ground level or just below. Use a sharp knife and scrape away the outer layer of just one vertical strip until you expose the phloem and sapwood, and paint it straight away with herbicide. For larger plants, perhaps scrape two sides or alternate the cuts up the stem, but ensure you leave plenty of undamaged stem to keep the circulation going. Technique 5, stem injection, can be useful for larger weed trees and shrubs, including those that need higher levels of herbicide for an effective kill. Drill or cut through the bark into the sapwood. Fill each hole with herbicide straight away. The key is to deliver enough herbicide, mainly through the top of the cut, into the upward flowing sapwood around the plant, with minimal damage to the circulatory tissue. The number of cuts will depend on the size of the plant. Very small stems might only need one, while larger trees might need them above each major root or below each major branch. And for a multi-stemmed plant, each stem will need to be injected. More cuts are not necessarily better. For the height of the cuts, choose a safe and comfortable working position. Technique 6 is spot spraying. Carefully controlled herbicide application helps you be selective about which plants you kill. In some cases, you can use a selective herbicide or a selective dilution that targets a certain plant type, such as grasses or broadleaf species. But even then, there's a need to watch out for similar natives. It's very possible to fine-tune your spraying technique to target small individual plants, even at seedling stage, if you take appropriate care and start slowly. Adjust the spray pressure and droplet size as needed. Fine spray can drift away, but larger droplets will flow where they're directed if the spray pressure is not too high.
Complete coverage, actually, the ground asparagus, in order for the herbicide to be effective.
The regenerating natives are why we're here, so protecting them is always top priority. But sometimes it's acceptable to sacrifice a few, if they're plentiful, and it lets you work faster and control a weed that could cause more serious damage. But remember that some weeds and situations are challenging, even with the best techniques.
Some acacia longifolia here.
So, if possible, seek advice from people experienced with the local conditions to help you choose the best approach.
Banks in here. So this glycine can dominate the acacias. The acacias are very resilient and have the capacity to grow in this sort of environment. Hopefully they'll come to dominate this road edge.